A central Iowa man is facing heavy backlash tonight from the Jewish community and many people online after he went to a bar on Halloween dressed as Adolf Hitler. Local 5's Emma Stroner talked to the bar the man attended and someone who was stunned to see the costume Halloween night.
Miss Kitty's was packed on Halloween night with people in all sorts of costumes, but one is gaining the attention of many in the community.
There were plenty of costumes turning heads at the bar in Clive, but Donnie Gardner's is the one that has people talking more than 2 days later. Donnie Gardner went as Nazi leader Adolf Hitler for Halloween. Local 5 is choosing not to show photos of Gardner in costume to minimize the spread of hate images. Gardner's a local business owner. Local 5 got his phone number and sent him a text message about the costume so he could share his story, responding saying, quote, "Though very controversial, I do not idolize or worship the man or anything he did. I simply wore it as a costume for shock value." In one photo, Gardner is accompanied by 2 women, one identified as Jessie Rudin, a volunteer hockey club coach at Drake University. The university released a statement saying she's since been removed from that position. We reached out to Rudin Sunday afternoon for her perspective on the situation. At first, she sent Local 5 an email saying she's willing to speak with us, but when we replied to set up a time, we never got a reply. This video from inside the bar Halloween night is also making rounds online too, showing a customer asking staff about Gardner's costume. Kennedy Powers shot that video. She says she confronted the bar's owner about Gardner's Hitler costume.
I was just dumbstruck. I didn't believe what I was seeing.
Kennedy told Local 5 the owner was dismissive and that he wasn't going to do anything about the costume. We went to the bar to ask questions, and the bar's owner, EJ, agreed to do an interview.
She said, "You've got a Nazi in your bar. What are you going to do about it?" And I said, I just quickly said, "Nothing." She goes, "So you support Nazis?" And I said, "No."
EJ added Friday was busy, and in hindsight, he would have done things differently.
I would like to apologize to anybody who it offended. We should have done a better job.
EJ says ever since Gardner's costume went viral, he's faced threats.
And you said you are a little bit worried that you're going to lose your business?
I am. Yes, we'll do the best we can, and hopefully people understand that we messed up and it won't ever happen again.
In Des Moines, Emma Stroner, Local 5 News.
Now, as for Gardner, he sent Local 5 a second statement saying in part, quote, "I am dreadfully sorry to anyone caught in the crosshairs and suffering from photos or interactions with me Friday night, as any and all hatred should be pointed out, myself and myself only. I take full responsibility for the repercussions and will continue to face them head on." Now, the Jewish Federation of Greater Des Moines released a statement regarding this incident, saying it is, quote, "deeply disturbed that a bar patron in our community wore a Hitler costume on Halloween. Hitler is not a costume. This is not satire. It is anti-Semitism. Free speech is not a shield for minimizing hate. We expect our community's businesses and institutions to reject anti-Semitism clearly and immediately."
Amid all the turmoil with federal food assistance, Iowa State Extension is trying to get more food from gardens into the hands of families experiencing food insecurity. This new program comes after Growing Together Iowa was eliminated due to federal funding cuts. Local 5's Alex Fulton explains the expected impact of the Iowa Donation Garden Network.
In the past decade, the Growing Together Iowa program has raised over 915,000 pounds of produce for local food pantries. The new Iowa Donation Garden Network is working to continue that mission.
Right now, there's more of a need than ever.
In Madrid, everything grown at Iowa Gardening for Good goes to pantries throughout the Des Moines metro.
If we were to expand our production 5-fold, that still would not have been enough for what we had from requests from a lot of the food pantries.
The growing season just wrapped up for Director Tracy Blackmer, a period that saw more people going to the pantries.
The SNAP benefits is probably a short-term thing as Congress fights amongst themselves onto it, but the Prices are not going down on stuff.
A program called the Iowa Donation Garden Network is looking to replicate Blackmer's approach at a much larger scale.
The Iowa Donation Garden Network is really about community, and like the name implies, it's a network. It's about connecting and empowering donation gardens across the state of Iowa.
Alicia Herzog with Iowa State Extension says gardeners across Iowa will meet 4 times over Zoom and be a part of a Facebook group. The idea is they'll share ideas on how to train volunteers the best vegetables to grow in Iowa and similar topics.
Battling food insecurity in Iowa can feel very monumental. And so just having that network and knowing that you're not alone can be a really big part of the equation.
Gardens like Blackmer's can make a big impact, and he encourages others to join the fight to end food insecurity.
There's many things you can do to help others. And when they see the end user, the people using that food and how appreciative they are, it's something most people never forget.
It is free to sign up for the Iowa Donation Garden Network for the 2026 season, thanks to a donation from Iowa Total Care. You can find a link to sign up on the Iowa Master Gardeners website. In Madrid, Alex Fulton, Local 5 News.
Now, while SNAP recipients wait for those partial funds to roll in, many are visiting local food pantries, and one network tells Local 5 they have seen more people today than ever before. Local 5's Emma Stroner shares the numbers and how demand has increased since day one of the SNAP delay.
It's been a busy Monday.
I broke literally every container I brought.
And a busy weekend.
We had a record-breaking day
for several food pantries across the metro.
Since SNAP benefits were delayed November 1st, local food pantries are feeling the demand, with Saturday and Monday bringing numbers unseen.
Just over 2,300 people so far.
That's how many visited DMARC's 14 food pantries Monday. The day will go down as the network's busiest day in history. But unlike many records, this one isn't celebrated.
It's not a record we look forward to setting. My heart hurts for the people who I saw trying to come up to the food pantry today, saw the line and said, I can't do this. I don't have time for it.
The high numbers starting on Saturday, November 1st, when Urbandale Food Pantry was open and the rush began.
We welcomed over 112 families into the pantry in just 4 hours.
Another record becomes another worry.
We have families that are coming in incredibly worried. What are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to feed our families?
And while the Trump administration announced Monday they'd use a contingency fund to partially fund SNAP, a lot remains unclear.
Right now, there's still more questions than there are answers. We don't know if people are going to be reimbursed for those full benefits for the month.
We'll continue to see this uptick just around the uncertainty, the what ifs and the not knowing, even partially funded. People are still trying to figure out, how do I fund the rest of that?
For now, the impacts of the government shutdown on food continue unfolding each day.
Families are already feeling the what ifs, the uncertainties, the scarcity mindsets, and a little bit of desperation.
In Des Moines, Emma Stroner, Local 5 News.
In 2023, more than 40,000 Iowans who experienced sexual assault, domestic violence, or human trafficking sought help. That's according to a report from the Attorney General's office. A new resource promises to create a one-stop shop where victims can access everything they'll need to heal. Local 5's Alex Fulton has more about the mission of the Safe Center of Iowa.
The center will be located here at 2300 Grand Avenue, the former site of Des Moines University. It will serve as a beacon of hope for sexual assault victims during the worst moment of their lives.
Our Safe Center will be the first, but we hope it will not be the last.
At a press conference, Matt McCoy announced the Safe Center of Iowa is getting closer to becoming reality. The Polk County Board of Supervisors secured a 3-year lease for the building at a new healthcare complex called DMU 32.
We want this to be a place where we deliver compassionate, comprehensive care for victims, promoting education and prevention in Polk County.
It was made possible in large part due to a $500,000 donation from the Blumenthal family.
Victims are often referred to hospital waiting rooms where they're examined by sexual assault nurses, many times after waiting several hours.
Sexual assault victims will be able to go to the Safe Center to get a rape test, be interviewed by law enforcement officers, or receive legal counsel. Ideally, it will be open 24/7.
Our mission is to ensure that every survivor in every community has access to comprehensive, trauma-informed care free of charge and without judgment.
Founder Shannon Knudsen says the facility is designed with victims in mind, making sure they aren't re-exposed to trauma.
The Safe Center of Iowa will deliver a unified response that meets each survivor's individual needs while advancing the health, safety, and resilience of our communities.
Safe Center is expected to open sometime next spring. The goal is to open 4 more clinics across the state of Iowa. That way victims don't have to travel far to receive care. In Des Moines, Alex Fulton, Local 5 News.
The Des Moines Public School District results are coming in for their school board seats. Local 5's JD Snover is live at the Central Campus where the board meets with an update on this race.
Yeah, Stephanie, that's exactly right. 2 new faces and 2 current board members are on track to win their respective races. That's according to unofficial results from this evening. Incumbent Skylar Mayberry Mays and Ryan Howell, who's an attorney by day, a corporate attorney by day, looking to replace the outgoing Jenna Knox. He's unopposed. They're both officially inching closer to officially winning their races. In the at-large race, incumbent Maria Alonso is on track to win her second term. She tells me the immediate goal is to bring the focus back to the classroom and the fallout of former superintendents, Dr. Ian Roberts' detainment.
That's the job, right? To stay focused on kids, to look at student outcomes, what kids are able to know and do by the time they leave our district, and work to make that happen. For our families, for students, for our community.
Unofficial results also showing local realtor Sarah Hopkins will likely take the other at-large seat. Along the campaign trail, she's been saying she wants to draw people to Des Moines because of the quality of the school district. So the next step for these candidates, well, that's taking office. Now, usually board members are sworn in the week after the election. However, there were reportedly ballot issues in this specific election in Warren County, and so that could result in a challenge and delays in swearing in. Live in Des Moines, I'm JD Snover, Local 5 News.
A majority of results in for the Des Moines Public Schools Reimagined Education Bond, and here to break down those results is Local 5's Larissa Leone, speaking with Interim Superintendent Matt Smith. Larissa.
Well, Stephanie, a lot of those results are in, and I'm here with Interim Superintendent Matt. Matt, talk to me a little bit about what you guys are feeling today.
Yeah, just incredibly joyful and grateful for the community. You know, they showed up tonight and really spoke out decisively, right, with an approval of this plan. And so we just couldn't be happier right now, and we're just trying to soak it in. It's been a long 2 years to get to this point, but we're here now, and we're going to move forward, continuing in partnership with our community and with our families.
So you needed 60% approval. Right now we're kind of sitting in the 70% region. Yeah. How does that feel, and were you expecting this?
Yeah, it feels amazing. And honestly, I didn't really know what to expect, to be honest with you. And so, you know, just anecdotally, all of the support and the outreach that we've received over the last, year and a half, and actually this last month has been amazing. I didn't know how that was going to translate at the polls, but it translated very well. And so we're more than thrilled right now.
And talk to me a little bit about now what are the next steps, right? People want to make sure that you guys are going to be transparent throughout this process. How are you going to make sure that happens? Yeah,
well, the first thing is this oversight committee, right? And so we've got an amazing group of leaders that have incredible expertise in these areas. And so we'll pull them together and begin to talk about the construction plans and the programmatic plans so that we are very, very transparent with them and how we actually communicate together with our families and moving forward. This is an incredible night for us, and we still have a lot of challenges and a lot of hurdles that we're going to need to cross. And so there's, in the upcoming weeks and months, there's budget conversations. And so this is an incredible victory for us tonight, and we still have things that we have to overcome as a district. And so we're excited about it, and we're looking forward to the challenge.
Alrighty, Matt, thank you so much for speaking with us tonight.
Well, from West Des Moines to Ankeny and beyond, Metro voters said yes to school bonds on Tuesday, according to unofficial results, paving the way for new projects and improvements. Local 5's JD Snover has more on what leaders are calling a critical investment in public education.
Voters in the Metro approved over $650 million in school bond referendums on Tuesday's ballot. That includes $135 million here in West Des Moines. Now, I spoke with local education leaders who say it's a welcome show of support from the community in a time it's needed the most.
Ann Cross, president of the Des Moines Education Association and a public school teacher, says 5 bond measures passing sends a clear message.
The bonds in the area passing shows that like the community supports the future of public education and the students that and the staff that support them.
District leaders agree. In Ankeny, where voters backed a $130 million bond, a spokesperson says in part, quote, "This bond represents years of community conversations that have shaped the academic programming opportunities and experience we want for our students." And in Southeast Polk, where $51 million for expansions were approved, their statement reads, quote, "As a district, we remain committed to providing safe, modern, and supportive spaces that meet the needs of our students and families." Cross says the number of bonds on ballots reflects recent state funding decisions, something she thinks voters have noticed.
I think it shows, too, that they're recognizing that the schools need more support and the underfunding from our state government, and that taxpayers are willing to pitch in where the need is.
In April, lawmakers approved a 2% increase in supplemental state aid, which was about 0.5% lower than inflation at the time. Local 5 reached out to Republican lawmakers for comment, but has not heard back. In West Des Moines, I'm J.D. Snover, Local 5 News.
Most of the 200 families Des Moines Refugee Support works with are being kicked off SNAP. Local 5's Alex Fulton is in studio with how this happened and the response from the organization's leaders. Alex.
Stephanie, this all started when a Des Moines Refugee Support volunteer was helping an Afghan family apply to get their SNAP benefits renewed. The family has been living in the metro for several years now, ever since the Afghanistan government fell. The volunteer later received a call from a Health and Human Services representative who said the family no longer qualifies for SNAP. It turns out, as part of President Trump's so-called Big Beautiful Bill, refugees and other immigrants can no longer get benefits. A year ago, this Afghan family had applied for a green card and their application is still being processed. Typically, it can take immigrants months or even years to be approved for one.
I'm just really worried about what the lost SNAP benefits are going to do. It's going to, I don't know. We're going to have to figure something out.
Representative Zach Nunn voted for the Big Beautiful Bill. He responded in part in a statement, quote, "My team has opened over 800 cases to help refugees who came here legally rebuild their lives in Iowa. We've helped with green cards, housing, and food access. I won't let states with 60% fraud rates drain a program Iowa families rely on." Des Moines Refugee Support promises to make sure none of their families go hungry. The organization has already received a bunch of donations and wants others to chip in at this time as well. Stephanie?
Even though we've received more guidance for the future of SNAP benefits, the growing need is outpacing the resources some organizations have available to them. Now, Local 5's Larissa Leone joins us with how a local nonprofit is getting creative to help reduce waste and get food on the table for Central Iowans. Larissa.
Well, Stephanie, we have been stating that food insecurity is at an all-time high for a long time. However, since the government shutdown began, the demand for assistance has increased rapidly day by day. We spoke with 2 organizations who are working to address this growing issue in unique ways.
There isn't necessarily a lack of food out there. Sometimes it's just making sure that we can get it to folks.
For now, the shelves of the warehouse at Supply Hive are empty. But according to Supply Hive director Ale Murguia Ortiz, just a week ago, the shelves were stocked with bananas donated by a grocery store who could no longer sell them.
So largely we're working with businesses, grocery stores, catering businesses, restaurants and such to recover food that is still fully safe and healthy to eat, but would otherwise be going to waste.
Through donations, Supply Hive has been able to distribute about 60,000 pounds of food per month. They say with SNAP benefits in limbo, they are helping families in the metro and grocery stores by minimizing waste.
And a lot of our local grocery stores are going to also be hit, so that does mean that there is going to be a lot of unsold merchandise because people aren't going to be paying that amount, the same amount that they were paying.
Those at Supply Hive aren't the only ones working to get food into the hands of people who need it. Over in Perry, Mayor Dirk Kavanaugh says the city has seen a huge uptick in usage of the food pantry after the Tyson building closed last year. The closure, paired with the SNAP freeze, has created lines out the door at the local pantry.
The later you come, the longer the line can tend to be.
With an already challenging economy and the inability to access SNAP funds, Mayor Kavanaugh says their local food pantries are considering lengthening their hours to meet the need for as long as they can, saying in the future they may have to reduce the quantity everyone gets.
We haven't had to turn people away. We haven't had to short them any, but again, it could be coming depending on how long this shutdown lasts and how long the SNAP dollars are not available to people.
Now at a press conference, Iowa Secretary of Agriculture Mike Nags spoke on how the pause on SNAP is affecting farmers too, saying it adds uncertainty in some cases that actually prevents conservation work from getting done, or it prevents farmers from the services that they're used to or need from the USDA. Stephanie?
Mitchellville Police Chief and Interim City Administrator William Daggett has resigned from his position. Now, this came hours after a report from the auditor's office alleged he misspent thousands of dollars as Baxter Police Chief. Local 5's Alex Fulton is digging into the audit, and Alex, it states 3 Baxter employees were involved.
That's exactly right, Stephanie. The 3 employees no longer work for the city of Baxter and haven't for quite some time. Former EMS Director Randy Gleam resigned on February 5th, 2024. Former Police Chief William Daggett and former City Clerk Katie Wilson resigned shortly after on February 15th, 2024.
I think it was kind of surprising that something like this happened in a town of this size.
State Auditor Rob Sands' new report is the talk of the town in Baxter, home to just under 1,000. It found city officials misspent over $90,000 between July 2021 and February 2024.
I know that the taxpayers here in Baxter would love to ensure that A, this isn't going to happen again, and B, everything that was taken, the people get held accountable for it, and we try to prevent this from happening again.
Over $75,000 was for improper disbursements. This includes over $1,400 in improper payroll costs to former EMS Director Randy Gleam and over $3,500 for former City Clerk Katie Wilson. The city of Elkhart confirmed Wilson is now employed as the city administrator, and city officials are aware of the report. The most was for former police chief William Daggett at over $51,000.
There was a pretty wide distinction between when his time cards said that he was actually on duty, or his time sheets, I should say, versus when he actually called in to say he was on duty.
At the time, Daggett was the Van Meter police chief and duplicated hours, which wasn't allowed.
We also saw purchases on the city's credit card for personal items and items that were purchased allegedly for city use, but that the city no longer possesses.
Sand says it will be up to other entities to determine what action to take, if any, for the alleged fraud in Baxter.
This is an important thing that you want to do well. There's a penalty in terms of reputation.
Now, I reached out to Daggett, Wilson, and Gleam for comment on this report. Gleam, the former EMS director, was the only one who picked up the phone. She hung up when I introduced myself as a reporter with Local 5. Stephanie?